Hello, welcome to Texas. We've just moved into a new house and I've got to put up some shelves here in the garage because I don't have a new shed yet. And so all the stuff that we see here has to be put someplace until such time as I can get a shed put up. Well, what I've got here is a wall, and I've put up some pieces along the wall. These are just 1x2s. I cut these myself out of a 2x4. Got 3 of these out of each 8-foot piece. It's just economical that way. Now the thing is, the shelves, I could buy some shelves, and I didn't want to, the shelves, they stand on the floor. I wanted some space below the shelves so that I can put this nice new toolbox up underneath it. And if I were to wheel this in, this handle, temporarily, will be just below the level of the shelf here. And that's the objective until such time as, it's going to take a while to build a shed. What I'm doing now, though, is because I don't want shelves supported by the floor or on legs coming up off the floor, I'm going to hang them from the ceiling. So I'm going to make these shelves basically just long enough to take up this space between the side of the garage door. And that's about 400 millimeter, 16 inches, 400 millimeters, 16 inches. And so I have drawn lines, 400 millimeters, 16 inches, all the way from the side of the wall. And I just arbitrarily picked a distance. The shelves aren't going to be hugely strong. I wanted them to, just measured some things that I'm going to put on the shelves. And the width was about that far apart. So I've made them a lot. There's a mark there, a mark there, a mark there. It's going to be a lot of support. It'll be strong enough. But how do you attach these? Where are these coming from? Let me show you what I've done on the inside. This is a fairly typical garage, at least for Texas. Get some light on the subject. We have these rafters. These are supporting the ceiling up above the garage down here. Well, that happily isn't insulated because otherwise it'd be real messy. This is some kind of blow-in insulation. You can see some of the slots I've cut. Here's one there. There's another one right over there. And I'm going to go all along this rafter. And what I'm going to do is, I've already covered it up, but I'll come back here in a minute and I'll show you what it looks like when I stab something through there. This is what I call plumber's tape. I'm sure it's got some other name. It's galvanized strapping. It's very thin, but strong. It's perforated with holes. They have other kinds of tape that is not perforated. And all I'm going to do to support this is I'm going to bend an angle on it and just have it hang there for a second, and then I'll go up into the ceiling and secure it in place. It's pretty firm tape, so I'm going to bend a sharp angle on it now, and there's more work to do on the inside to make it form it around the beam that's up there. Like I said, this is just there to hold it until I get it in place. This bracket doesn't hang straight down, it kind of goes at an angle, so I'm going to use a spacer. Space it out so it hangs straight down. Not hugely critical, but worth doing. So I've got a tape here that's in millimeters. Anyway, it's 800 millimeter. And I only need a little bit to fold underneath of this tape. So I'm going to cut this off at 900, which is right there. Going to make the shelves 16 inches. And another reason I chose that width, this is an 8-foot sheet of plywood, and you can get 3 16-inch shelves out of each piece. So that's why I chose that dimension as well. It all just works out really well. The outside edge of the shelf has to be made more rigid because this hasn't got a lot of body to it. I've only got some 3/8 inch plywood here. So that'd be really weak, bend it easy. But if I just fortify it a bit with this piece here, it'll be much stronger. It'll hold a better weight. Plywood usually has a good side, and this is the good side. This is the bad side. It's got knots in it. Sometimes it's much worse than this. I'm going to use this good side up. These screws I'm using are just long enough that they'll maybe just a little bit peek through. I can sand them off later. I'm back at it, not so early in the morning, but where I ended last night was, I think I've got all these hung, but if you look, these are not straight. What I need to do is measure a point from the top of here to here, same here, on all of these, and I can't really do that because I don't know if there's, some of these might have some slack. The shelves that end up going like this. So what I'm going to do is get a heavy weight and hang it on here, and then I'll take a measurement to here and to there. That'll tell me where the top of the shelf is. I have to work it out, you know, how thick the shelf is and all that. Just to make them hang level though, without having to just put them in place and then adjust them. I'll make marks. The other thing is the upper shelf. This one's easy. I can just bend it up underneath. And that's pretty rigid and strong. A couple of screws. Well, the middle shelf won't have that. So what I've got to do is I'll take another piece. I'll cut a piece of this off. And that's what's nice about this perforated plumber's tape, is I can make a little angle bracket. And because it's perforated, I can use a bolt. And I can just put it in the right place and bend it where I need it to bend. And that'll still be really rigid to hold the upper shelf as well. Well, like I was saying, these are not straight. They're kind of bowed and some are kind of kinked. That changes the length of these. And if I want these shelves to be level without any kind of waviness in them, I've got to pull these straight. Well, I've got a weight here, a device, a bit of chain, and a hook. That should be adequate. That'll pull it down nice and straight. Get all my kinks out. Then all I have to do is measure down from the ceiling, get my measurement for the top shelf, the bottom shelf, transfer those marks onto here. The ceiling isn't flat. It goes up and down and whatever. You never know it unless you put a straight edge on it or something. I know these are level because I used a level to put them on. So the ceiling isn't the same, and that's why I'm measuring like this. Well, that took a lot longer than I wanted. I had to find some bolts and had to search through all this junk over here to try to find my bolt tray, but I found some. I'll have to trim them off, for too long, but I found nuts and bolts. And what I'll do is I'll bolt into the upper bracket here. Just got to cut some nice little pieces that will I'll be able to bolt on, turn into an angle bracket. Now the only thing remaining is in this corner, and I'll probably have to do something similar on the other end. But this corner here has got nothing for a shelf to rest on. And I could put a piece straight across, but nah, there's really nothing to screw to here except on the very ends. I don't want to do that. So what I'll do is I'll put a piece from here that goes kind of over at an angle, and that should be good, I think. And the shelf will just rest on it. That's gonna, that goes right about there. Just want to pre-drill, at least to the outside. I didn't think about that. This is interfering with that, so I'll just chop this part off and take the screws out. That should be fine. It's got to go back in that far yet. It's another inch, so it's a bit tight. Trim that off, and then I'll scoot it in the rest of the way and attach all the brackets. Well, there you have it. 2 shelves in this garage, hanging from the ceiling. Floor space is all clear. Well, you know, I'd still bump my head on it, but at the end of the day, I won't be walking that close to the wall. At least I shouldn't be. And, you know, the main reason I did this was so I don't have stuff sitting on the floor. I can put air compressors, ladders and whatever underneath these shelves, and it's not limited by that. And the shelves are supported by the joists up in the ceiling, and I put the straps in a certain distance so that bins would fit, and they're a certain height so that bins would fit. And it's not perfect, again, I don't do perfect things, but it's practical and it works. Now, I don't know that I'll do it on this wall. I may, but all the stuff on the floor a lot of the stuff's going to go up in the attic here. And I'll be using this OSB or whatever it's called to go into the floor up there. You can see a bit of it on the edge. And a lot of the bins here are things that we don't use but once a year. Christmas items, that kind of thing. And that should clear the floor up tremendously. So that's the objective, clear the floor.